Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, out on another walk, and today I am joined by a very special guest whose birthday it is today. In fact, his daughter got in touch and said, is there any chance that you could take my dad on his birthday out for a stroll? I said, is there any doubt? That sounds a brilliant idea. And here he is. It's Rick. Hello, Rick.
Hello.
61 today.
Indeed, Mr. Vobes. Thank you so much for this. I'm overwhelmed.
You are a big fan.
Oh, totally. Every day. Without fail.
Which is why you're here. So as now, I thought, where shall we go? And Becky said, I think Dad likes Amberley very much.
Yeah, it had to be Amberley.
And you've got connections
here.
Yes,
I have. Yes, indeed.
So, so we'll kind of stroll around. Yeah. And maybe you could tell me something about the connections that you have.
Well, my father came here in the war as a child to live with his aunts, and he was essentially evacuated. And we'll see the place where he lived. And in fact, we can even look in at the room where he heard the announcement of war by Chamberlain all those years ago. Yes, so he was here, and they used to then, my mum and dad used to bring us down here to visit my aunts, and we stayed as well overnight on occasions. And I've just loved this place. It's like coming home.
Right.
You know, and now, because we only live a few miles away in Worthing, we're not far at all, so
no,
I can come here quite often. And
what a beautiful place to come.
It's a fabulous place. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's really coming back to my roots.
Yes.
When I was a child, they used to let me come down with my sixpence and buy gobstoppers and what have you from the
post office.
From the post office. Yeah.
Oh, superb.
Yeah.
How old were you at the time?
Oh, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, not very old.
No.
Yeah. So I have some lovely photos, black and white, of us visiting here and going up onto the downs. And I remember one occasion it was snowing.
Oh gosh!
And we had tea trays, and we were coming down
tobogganing on the tea trays.
Marvellous, yeah.
I guess that little has changed other than the motor cars.
Unfortunately, so yes. I understand. Of course, these days people have more than one car and they need to park it, but it has entirely changed the atmosphere of the place. You can imagine that once this wouldn't have been here, it would have just been a muddy track.
Yes.
And some horse and carts, what have you. And in fact, my dad remembers that very well. And the cows being sort of moved along the main road down to the brooks, which is a beautiful part of the world.
Which side of the village was his farm? Because it's quite marshy, isn't it, round here?
Yes. Oh no, it was just round here on to the right, up North Road. In fact, the funny thing about that is my great grandmother was a bit of a snob, and because the road was called Hog Lane.
Oh.
And she didn't like
it.
So she changed it to North Road, and it's been known like
has it?
since. So I believe that's the apocryphal story.
Oh,
anyway.
I see.
But she certainly didn't like the Hog Lane.
Hog Lane, and yet I love that name.
Yeah, I do.
You know, it's so
very rustic, isn't it?
Absolutely, and so descriptive, really.
Yeah.
So Rick, you have brought me up to a point here in the village of Amberley, which should just say for those people who are not familiar at all with it, that it's in West Sussex, and it's just, what are we talking about, just west, I suppose, of Arundel.
Yep.
And very close to the River Arun, of course.
Indeed.
So you brought me to a point here at the junction of, I was just looking for the name of the road, but it doesn't actually say.
This is North Road.
North Road.
Yeah.
With a very grand-looking thatched house behind us.
Yes. Doesn't it look beautiful?
It does.
There was a very large tree. I imagine it would have probably been an oak. And this is where the village moot used to take place.
Oh, okay.
The meeting of the village elders.
Really?
And I actually have a picture of an ancient ancestor by the name of William Ruff, standing there with his hand in waistcoat, and the other gentlemen with their smocks, and having the weekly meeting many years ago, back in the 1800s.
Oh gosh, well I never. And I wonder how many people I mean, we've just met a lovely little lady in
gorgeous.
a house just down the road there, who's very interested in the history.
Yes.
But I wonder how many of the villagers now get together in person. I imagine so much is done over online and things like that, especially in these worrying times. But ordinarily, you know, it's nice that people would get together physically and just thrash things out.
That's right. That's the way it was.
Yeah.
And of course the pub was very much the centre.
Yes, of course.
We'll be visiting, maybe not for a drink, but certainly to have a look at the Black Horse.
I wonder why they met here then and not in a pub.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Outside,
Outside. But I mean, that's a historical thing, is that people used to meet and come from miles to a moot point.
That's it.
We just stopped for a moment because I have a connection, Rick, to this village, and that is through a friendship that I had with a young lady called Jane, who lived at the house we're now standing outside, which is called Brookside. And of course there's a little public footpath that goes right down to the brooks, of course, at the back, hence the name. And it was about 37 years ago. And I used to do mime and all that. We made a film on Super 8. I've got it, but I need to be able to put it into video. It's on Super 8 still. And we would, Jane and I, she was interested in entertainment, and she was. We had white faces on and stripy T-shirts, and we did a funny thing here. I barely remember it, but and I often wonder whatever happened to them. It's so long ago. She's clearly, you know, grown up and gone off and done other things like we all have. But it's so lovely to see this area and all the houses. I was just saying to you before, we're looking at them and visitors will come round and go, wow, look at them. But of course, back in the day when it was a working village, it was every day.
That's right, absolutely. And it was a working village, you know, up until, I remember in the 60s when I used to come as a child. It was still very much a farming village then.
Yeah, and of course with your grandfather.
My grandfather who died here, yes, and it was my great-grandmother who owned the cottage.
Oh, right.
And then I had great-aunts who'd taken it on after that.
Gosh.
So we came to visit them.
Amazing.
Oh, it was wonderful place.
And you know, what a brilliant place to have to come as in a childhood
memory.
Because you'd lived in Croydon. I mean, the contrast could not be bigger, really, could it?
Yes. Well, I think the dictionary refers to Croydonise, which means to totally ruin your town centre.
Yeah, and they did a good job of that.
They certainly did.
Yes. So we have arrived at North Road Farmhouse, and this is where you used to come as a little boy.
That's right, indeed.
And stay. Did you stay in any of the rooms that are facing us, or at the other end?
It would have been behind.
And behind.
But the thing I just so vividly remember is that you had to open the door to go up the stairs. So the stairs immediately started to rise
as soon as you
opened the door. And I'd never seen anything like that.
So how about the rooms either side? Could you access them?
Yes. There was a huge fireplace. In fact, you could sit in it.
Right, an Inglewood fireplace.
Absolutely gorgeous, yeah. And it was very old furniture. And of course, the old beams were very low. And although I wasn't as tall as I am now, I remember, my dad having to be very careful and knock himself out. But it was just a fabulous and a magical place for children.
Yes.
Really fabulous.
And I know that, over the years, of course, things have changed, and villages now are much smarter.
Yes.
There's, and you have to be relatively rich to live in a place like this, and of course there's the upkeep, and if they're graded and all of that. So,
of course,
I imagine that it was a little, can I say, more scruffy back then as a working farm.
It would have been the whole village would have been, certainly, but there was a real lived-in feel to it, and the smell of the wood smoke. It just lived with me forever.
Yes.
Gorgeous. Absolutely wonderful.
It's a very beautiful cottage.
Yeah, isn't it just? And if I may tell you a bit about the garage door.
Yeah, shall we walk round there?
Well, this was, we'd heard about my dad being in the room listening to Chamberlain's speech when war was declared.
Yes.
But when the war was won, he came out here and he daubed a big victory V and then the ... on this door. And for many, many years, not that long ago, you could still see where it had been, and it's obviously now been painted over.
Yeah.
But yes, for many years it was there, the Victory V, which was lovely, really, as a remembrance of him and his time here.
Gosh. And it's hard to imagine, isn't it, a village like this under any wartime conditions at all when we stand here on this beautiful April day.
They used to go up onto the downs and watch the dogfights.
Yes.
The Spitfires, Hurricanes fighting against the Messerschmitts, and incredible, to think that actually happened.
Yes.
Here.
It's so difficult. I mean, we're of a generation in which we missed that by 20, 30 years, and yet it's still part of us because our parents lived through it.
That's it. And so much of our lives were impacted by that,
Yes.
I think it's sort of austerity in many ways, we never threw anything away.
No.
Because they didn't in the war. They had to use everything.
That's it. My parents...
Make and men do and all of that.
My parents, who were kids in the war, that stayed with them and then they passed that on to me. But I have not passed that to my kids as much as I've tried to sort of not throw things away. I think media and the influence of the wide world and commercialism has wiped that free.
Totally. Entirely that, Richard, you're right.
There is only one pub in the village, and thank goodness that it's still here, because you were telling me just now, Rick, that there was a campaign to save it.
Yes, there was. And
it
very
nearly
successful.
disappeared.
It did. Developers tried to make apartments, but they were thwarted by the locals and many others too, so that was a good thing.
That is a good thing. And of course you have other connections with the pub yourself.
Yes, obviously as my father grew up, he spent a number of happy evenings in there with his brother, and actually when they were smaller he used to go in and buy cigarettes for his brother, who was older. Right. Because he was too scared, apparently.
Oh, so the brother was too scared. And they would sell, that was in the days...
They would sell a child cigarettes,
Yes. It's outrageous, isn't it? Outrageous. Where's your ID? Back then, all sorts went on. And unfortunately, it's not open at the moment because of the times, but it's looking very resplendent, isn't it?
Very, very good. They've really done a first-class job.
Yeah, and let's hope that it's here for a long time.
Hear, hear.
We are now standing outside St Michael's, the church, parish church here. Beautiful church. I've actually made certainly one video for sure here, which I'll try and find and link below if people are interested. But it is an absolutely beautiful church, and behind it, of course, is the Amberley Castle, the palace of the bishops, or the Bishop's Palace.
Yeah.
And so, as a little boy, were you? Did you come to church?
We came here once or twice, certainly, and I was just enthralled by the fact that you had St Richard's Gate, and of course that's my name, your name.
Yes, that's right.
St Richard's. So I would get my dad to take a photograph of me standing under St Richard's Gate. Not that I was very saintly, but there we are. And of course my ancestors are buried in this churchyard, and we used to go to the grave and attend to it, and still do.
Yes, and how? I mean, this is something that I don't know whether long-term viewers will know about me. Is that my mother was an orphan, and my my great-grandfather, I think, came from Sweden. So I don't have immediate ancestors that I can visit. And my parents have gone and they've both been cremated. So I don't have headstones.
A place.
Yes. I mean, I feel incredibly English, and I am English. There's no question on that. But I think that thing about having a home and roots.
Definitely. Roots, vital, I think. And you can make your own roots, of course, but to have them, I feel tremendously privileged and humble to be able to come to a place and stand where my ancestors stood and where they worked and lived. And it's such a fantastic feeling. It really does feel like coming home.
Yes. Well, we've come to the end of our little video, but thank you to Becky, your daughter.
Yes, I'll be having words with her.
Hopefully nice words.
Oh, of course.
For getting in touch and suggesting that Rick, on his 61st, would like to spend an hour or so with another Rick or Richard making a video.
Fabulous, absolutely fabulous. I'm so glad you said yes.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Well, it's a privilege for me as well, because you know something about the village. I've been here, wandered around, don't know too much, and you've helped put some more info on the cards.
Thank you.
If you know any more about it, if you have vague connections with Rick or the family, do leave the comment. I'm sure we'd be absolutely fascinated.
We will.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to follow, like and subscribe and all of that. And if you have an interesting tale and would like to meet up and take me around, then do get in touch. I usually say yes.
He does. He's the man who likes to say yes.
Exactly. I won't be lending on your money though, like the banks. Anyway, till next time. Thank you so much, Rich.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.
It's been great. It really has. Take care and bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.